Okay, so here we are. We are live. Let me just make sure that my audio is working. Let me see. Just give me a second and I will get started in a minute.
Imagine what would happen if every person...
All right, let's see what we got here. All right, let me just make sure this audio is working. All right, let's see what we got here. And it is. All right. So let me go back here to my screen so I can see myself. All right, so today what I'm going to do is answer some viewer questions. Throughout the week or so, I always get questions from you all who watch my videos in the comment section, and sometimes via email and Instagram and other places as well. And I just want to go ahead and answer some of those questions live on air because it makes my life easier than trying to respond to all of the comments and or making videos dedicated to answering your questions that are edited. So I think I'm going to start doing it this way instead, which I've done in the past. So just to let you know, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be answering questions about, believe it or not, the JVC 170U and whether that's a good camcorder for shooting starry nights. We're also going to answer a question about the Canon R7 versus the Sony A7IV and whether or not it's better in terms of image stabilization. We also have a question about the Canon XF605 camcorder and the JVC LS300, which I own, and whether or not either one of those is a good camcorder for documentaries, for someone starting out doing documentaries. And then I also had a question about software that will automatically edit your family videos so that you don't have to do the editing. I'll let you know what I found as far as that goes as well. So periodically too, I'll take a look at the comments, the chat, see if anybody joins in and has any questions. Because if you have any questions while the show is live, this is live. So you can just join in, you can have a conversation with me, you can ask a question. If I can answer it, I will. So let's go ahead and let's talk. So now I'm gonna read the original question that came in about that JVC. So it was a two-part question, but it said, and this question came in from a gentleman named Sirius. So Sirius, thank you for your question. It is, which one is better, the 170, the 200, or the 250? And these are the JVC camcorders. I'm planning on getting one of these. I like to film the sky, and I usually film at night. Which 4K camcorder do you recommend? Okay. So very quickly, I'm going to share my screen because I want you all to see what that JVC camera is and what it looks like. So I'm going to share this. So let's go here. So right now you're looking at my desktop. I'm going to bring the image over in a second. All right, so the JVC. So that is this bad boy right here. So this is a camcorder that a few years ago on my channel I did several reviews of, and those videos are still very popular on my channel. So what that shows me is a lot of you still use this camcorder for various reasons. Now, to answer your question specifically, would I use this for starry nights? Or which one is better, the 170, the 200, or the 250, right? Because basically they all look just like this, really. They all look the same. The difference being is the 250 has, I believe, has SDI connections and the ability to live stream directly from the camera. And I believe the 200 also has that capability as well. I don't remember the exact differences between the 200 and the 250. I don't think there's really many. But they all have the same exact image quality. Okay, so here I am. So they both have the same exact image quality, all of them. They use like half-inch sensors in there, which is like a little tiny image sensor that captures the actual image. And to be honest, that's really small and not good in low light situations. For a starry sky, I honestly wouldn't use any one of these camcorders. I don't think it's going to do well at all. I could be wrong, but if you were going to shoot a starry sky and maybe you're in a place where you can really see the stars, so the stars really light up the sky, then, I mean, if you keep the gain levels low on the camera, which is basically ISO, like a mirrorless camera calls it ISO, if you keep those levels low, then you won't get a lot of grain in the image, and maybe it would work, but it definitely would not be my first choice. I would probably just get a mirrorless camera and get a decent lens that has what they call a fast aperture, meaning that the number, that f-stop number is low, like f1.8, f1.4, and like a 16 millimeter lens on my Sony A7IV mirrorless camera. That would probably do pretty well, right? Because I can open it up to f1.4 and probably get a fair amount of light in there, and it's probably going to look really nice. There won't be any grain in the image, and you'll really be able to showcase that sky. That's just my opinion. Anybody else who maybe you've used camcorders to shoot starry skies and you've had good results, please put it in the comments below. Let us know what camcorder you're using, maybe even show some of your results if you have it on YouTube. Put the link down below so that Sirius can see it. The only other suggestion, if you really want a camcorder, maybe moving away from something like the JVC and maybe something that has a 1-inch sensor, depending on your budget. But cameras like the Canon XF605, that has a 1-inch sensor. It does much better in low light than the JVC. I'm going to tell you that. I have experience with that style of camcorder compared to the JVC, and it's a night and day difference. It looks way better. So that might be a better choice, something like the XF605, which actually I have a picture of that too, but I don't know if there's a reason to pull it up, but might as well. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's go back to share screen. Boom. Okay, share. All right, so here we are. So where is it? XA50. Boom, boom. So it's that guy right there. So this camcorder right here will probably do a better job. So that's what I got for you on that particular question. Let's move on now to the next question about the Sony A7IV versus the Canon R7. So let me close this. Okay, cool. All right. So I want to read the exact question that came in here, because this is actually a very good question. This is a very good question. So this came through the Canon R7 Do These Adapters Even Work videos. So that's where this comment was left. And it says, how does the R7's IBIS compare to the Sony A7IVs? Is it significantly better, or is it in the same ballpark? I am looking to upgrade from my Canon M6 Mark II, and I was leaning towards the R7, but with the latest price drops from Sony, the price difference seems to be more or less $300 plus tax, converting from my local currency in Poland. Now I'm kind of at a crossroads, wondering if it makes sense to pay the premium and get the Sony. I am a hybrid shooter doing mainly family and travel photos and videos, mainly for personal use. All right, and this question comes from Marcin. Thank you for your question. This is a great question. Now, it's funny that the price difference is so small where you are, because here it's a much bigger price difference between those two cameras. I think it's almost $1,000 difference here in the US. So, big difference. Now, obviously you saw the videos that I did on the Canon R7 when you're using adapters. Sometimes the image stabilization might not perform well if it's not a Canon lens. So if it's a Canon EF or EFS lens using that Canon adapter, it probably will work okay. But if you're adapting like a Sigma or Tamron lens using an adapter, the image stabilization really starts to crumble. Honestly, even using the RF-S lens that I have, the 18-150, the image stabilization is pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It's not a gimbal replacement, and I honestly don't think it's going to be that much better than your Canon M6 Mark II. Because I used to have a Canon M50, which was somewhat similar. Your camera's a little nicer, but the image stabilization is not that much different. It is better in the Canon R7. It's definitely better, but it's not that much better. So is it going to beat out a Sony A7IV? I'm not going to lie to you. I bet you they're probably going to look identical in terms of image stabilization, if I had to guess. Now, I've never used the A7IV. Right now, I have a Sony Fx30 that's shooting me right now. Also, I have a Sony A6600, which is a much older camera. And I felt with even the A6600, which has lesser image stabilization than the R7, I didn't see a huge difference in the performance. I mean, it's there, but it's not huge. The FX30 is like right on par, maybe even better in some situations, to be honest, than the R7. So, yeah. If you're doing family, travel, I'm almost curious why you want to get rid of the M6, because that sounds like a pretty decent camera for what you're describing. Is it the screen? Is it like that flip screen bothering you? Because that, I know that it doesn't have like a flip screen that flips out and towards you, like flips up over the camera. And, I'm not really in love with that type of design. I don't know if that's what's doing it, but obviously the image stabilization, you just want better image stabilization is probably what you're looking for. I think if you get the R7, I don't think you're going to be like, wow, this is so much better. So I don't even know if I would switch, to be honest. Just my opinion. But keep in mind that Sony A7IV, here's the difference, right? That's a full frame camera. One, at least here, it's way more expensive than the R7, so you got to consider that. The body is more expensive. But then the lenses that you're going to need for it are also much more expensive than those lenses that you use on your M6. So consider that when upgrading to something like a Sony A7IV. Get an idea of what lenses you want, see how much they cost first for that system, and see if that's something you want to purchase. Maybe it is. If it is, I would probably get the Sony A7IV. But that's just me. That's just me. Okay, that was a great question. I appreciate that. Moving on. So now the next question, this one came from Roxanne through Instagram. And basically, it was a great question about, well, let me just read it for you. Hi, Michael. Been watching your vids on YouTube. Your channel gives awesome info, and I was wondering if you can give some advice, please. My daughter is into filmmaking, and I would like to purchase a camera for her. It's also a surprise, hence I don't want to ask her. I know you have quite a bit of experience with camcorders, and it seems very practical. Would you recommend the JVC GY-LS300 4K cam or the Canon XF605 for her, seeing that she films mostly documentaries and short films? She sometimes films interviews and commercials. I know she used DSLRs at school, and now she sometimes rents out cinema cameras, which is a bit expensive. Any ideas which camcorder would be best? Much thanks, Roxanne. Excellent question. Now, I already responded to Roxanne on Instagram. First thing I told her was, if I'm being honest, I don't want anybody buying a camera from me because I'm so particular about my camera. And I'm sure you all out there who shoot video too might feel the same way, right? It's just like, I know what I want. And someone who's not really into cameras doesn't know what I want, right? Like right now I'm shooting with the FX30. Most people, don't own this camera, right? It is becoming very popular, but most people don't own that JVC LS300. I still have it there on the shelf. And let me show you guys what that is, just in case you're not familiar with it. FX30, excuse me, JVC LS300. That's what this is. So interchangeable lenses. You can put that on there. This is a Micro Four Third mount. Get adapters. You can put whatever lens you want on here, basically. Pretty cool camcorder, cinema camera, mirrorless camera, all kind of mixed into one. This is good for documentary stuff, I would say. It is. The problem with this one, it's kind of old at this point. If I'm being honest, the 4K that comes out of this isn't really all that great. That has been my experience. It almost looks like it's really 1080p that's been upscaled to 4K inside of the camera. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like. So it's not the clearest, it's not the sharpest image, but it is a good image. Put a good lens on it, it is a good image. But I doubt that that's what her daughter is going to want, right? Because it's really old. Now the Canon XF605, let's share the screen here. Let me show you that real quick. Share the screen one more time. We're going to go here and share. All right, so now let's open that up. 605, where is it? Here it is. It's this bad boy right here. Now let me tell you something. For a documentary, this is a good camera. I think this is a good camera for documentary. This is almost $5,000 though. This is not cheap. And nowadays, with all the cinema, like she mentioned, she rents cinema cameras, she does DSLRs and stuff like that. Nowadays, like this FX30 that's shooting me right now, the FX30, which I can't show you because it's shooting me, but that's this camera. This camera that's shooting me right now is like half the price of the one we just saw. It probably has, in terms of video recording modes and stuff, it is superior to that big camera that we just saw. However, that big camera, you could look at this one. There's not a huge amount of buttons on this thing, right? You know, so that becomes problematic. Kind of slows you down a bit because you have to go through the menus to change things. Where when you're using something like this 605, look at all the dedicated buttons for this, for peaking, for zebras, for your waveform monitor, for changing your gain levels, for changing your focus, your aperture settings. It has a dial and control for everything right on the camera. So yes, this is ideal for shooting documentaries, but is it ideal for shooting commercials? Is it ideal for shooting short films? That's where I kind of told her, like, this is kind of the area where even though you want it to be a surprise, you're going to have to like kind of pull that information out of your daughter to figure out exactly what she wants. Like, you gotta get creative and figure it out instead of just buying her something that she doesn't really want. I think this is good for documentaries, and news. But that's really it. For doing commercials, I probably wouldn't use this. I probably would use one of the cinema cameras. My FX30 that I just showed you, I'd rather use this for a commercial because I have the flexibility to change the lenses and give it the look that I want exactly. If I'm shooting a short film, I can give it the exact look that I want. You know? To me, it's more flexible. And it has a bigger image sensor, so I can get that shallow depth of field and better low light performance and everything else. So it's more of a versatile camera if you get her something that's a mirrorless camera or one of these smaller cinema cameras like the FX30. So that's my opinion. I don't know what you all feel about that, but you can put it in the comments below. Especially if you own something like the XF605 and you're using it for all types of things, I would love to hear about it and also see some of your work because I've always wanted to use that camera. That is a pretty cool camera. Now, let me just check one thing here. Let me stop sharing the screen as well. Cool. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, so now let's do one more question. Where's my sheet here? All right. Last question here, and this one came from Amanda. And this came from my video called Best Camcorders for Family Videos. So she left a comment there. She said, "Hey, just found your video and thanks for that. I am a mom looking for a camcorder to record family moments. But as all moms, my life is so busy that I have no time to edit or put together all the clips from a trip." And then she's asking, But I'm trying to read this. To have full video there or some setup. Basically, she's asking, is there software available that will put the clips together and kind of make the video for you? I think that's what she's asking in this question. And basically, not that I really know of, right? Or that's going to do it in a very intelligent way. But what I will show you, if you have an Android phone, like me, this might be a little difficult to see, but if you go to your Photos app on like a Google phone, and then you go to, in the right corner, yeah, you're going to have a hard time seeing this. Let me see if I could take down the exposure a little bit. Let's see. Oh, I think that's as low as I'm going to go. Yeah, it might be hard to see. See where it says utilities there? Oh, let's try and focus on my face. If you click on that utilities button, I'm going to do it right now. It takes you to this. And then if you go to movie, come on, stop, keep trying to focus on my face. If you go to movie, if you click on that, there we go. And then you click on that plus, whoops, click on the plus right there. You could then select like your videos and some pictures, and then Google will automatically kind of put them together for you. That might be kind of what you're looking to do. The only thing with that is it's not going to let you like pick your audio and all of that. So like if you want to take some dialogue from one of the clips and like highlight that dialogue, it's not going to let you do that. It's just going to put music on top of everything and you can't pick any of the dialogue. So it's not really the best option, but it is something. So that's one thing that I know of. Doing a YouTube search here, I found a plugin for what I use to edit videos, which is called Adobe Premiere. I don't know if you're familiar with it. There is a learning curve to that software. It's not the easiest thing to use, but you pay a monthly subscription. It's only like $30. So you could buy it for a month. You could buy this plugin that I'm talking about, and I'll put in the links below for you. But basically, it's doing what you ask. You just throw a bunch of clips in there, and it automatically throws the clips together. I don't know how much the plugin cost, but like I said, I'll put it down below. I know nothing about it, right? I don't know if it's going to fry your computer. I don't know anything about it. So use it at your own risk. I have no affiliation with the person that made the plugin, but it's the only thing I could find. I thought that was a very interesting question, and I would love it if someone knows of some type of AI editing software that will just kind of throw stuff together and maybe some type of montage video for you, and maybe gives you a little flexibility to go in there and tweak it. Put it down below. Let's help Amanda out. I think that's a good question. And that's it. All right, so those are the questions I have for this live stream. If any of you have questions, always put them in the comments in my videos. If it's a good question, I'll go ahead and answer it live on air. I'll try to do this maybe once every other week, maybe once a month, depending on how many good questions I get. So, yeah. So look forward to that. And also, I'll be here live. So if you have questions that you want to ask live, you can always do that as well, and I'll answer them. So thanks for joining. Y'all have a good day.